think of villains with hooks for hands, what's the immediate villain that you think of? Captain Hook, right? From Peter Pan. He's one of the most famous ones. Because I believe in legends and urban legends, another one for me would be the the bloody butcher that roamed England for many years. I won't go into that detail because I'm still researching exactly what the details of that one is. If you ever go into the London Dungeon, you might meet him though. Well, you might meet someone dressed as him anyway. The point I'm making is that the villains can come in many shapes or forms, and particularly with the hooded hand villain, there is an urban legend of a hooded villain, a killer, who haunts a little corner of the forest known as Lover's Lane, and they are known as the Hook. Before I continue this story, I think I need to explain something that might confuse a lot of people. I will also put a notification down and say that if you're a kid, there will be some things that you might have to ask your parents permission, or might ask your parents sort of a little bit of detail on. I will try and keep this as PG as possible. This is a kind of story that's told to teenagers as they're coming of age. Again, ask your parents why, and they probably will tell you. But I will explain one thing, and that's the concept of Lover's Lane. Lover's Lane is known as a deserted area of the forest where lovers would meet and cuddle and be able to bond. It's sort of a secret area away from their parents where they're not worried about being disturbed. As you can imagine, it's in the middle of the forest, usually at midnight. And this is the setting for our story. A young couple in a car had gone to Lover's Lane to have some them time. They were away from their parents, so they had as much freedom as they wanted. However, when they pulled up, the girl wasn't as keen as she had been as they were going there. She suddenly got very nervous. The boy was trying to encourage her, but she was a little bit nervous, a little bit worried, and didn't really want to be involved in that kind of thing. To try and ease her feelings a little bit, it is a spooky forest at night in a clearing. Anyone would be nervous. He tried to put the radio on. Unfortunately for him, it was around about the same time that the news was on the radio, and the news didn't have good news. The news reported that literally that very same evening, a killer known as the Hook, because of the hook that he had on his hand, had escaped a mental asylum and was currently roaming the forest somewhere. Well, if she was already nervous from being in the forest with this guy, she was definitely nervous when she heard about the killer. She tried to insist again that she wanted to go home. The boy tried to reassure her, told her everything's going to be fine. They'll just be there for a few more minutes, and then they'll head off. He was about to squeeze her shoulder to give her reassurance when she suddenly jolted her head towards the window. She'd seen something. Something was out there in the forest. Nothing could persuade her otherwise. There was something in the forest. She wanted to go home now. Well, the boy was disappointed, but there was no way that he was going to persuade her. She was 100% convinced something was out there. There was no way that he was going to persuade her to do anything. So reluctantly, he agreed to take her home. The journey to the girl's home was not a pleasant one. He was furious. She was still shaking in the seat, scared out of her wits. She was very nervous, very scared, very convinced that there was something out there. Something wasn't right. When they pulled into the driveway of the girl's house, he was still seething, but she was refusing to get out of the car. She was so scared. Frustrated, but still wanting to be a gentleman, he got out of his side of the car and went over to her side to open it. He froze. He was staring at the door handle. He was staring at the door handle that currently had a bloody hook lodged in the handle. When she opened the window and looked down, naturally, she screamed. So, did they have a really close call? Was it the girl's imagination? But then again, how do you explain the hook that was in the handle? There was definitely something linked to that hook. It's a very weird story, but it's one I'm going to leave you to answer. Comment in the comments what you think happened, and let me know if there's any other urban legends that you love to tell at a campfire. The hook will always be my favorite one to tell at a campfire. I'm going to speaking of campfires, I'm going to head off because I've got to make sure that I'm all ready for Halloween. I'm decorating the house tomorrow. So, catch you guys a little bit later. Bye, guys.